Good morning, y'all. It's a beautiful morning. Coffee talks are coming in a heat. I kind of like hanging out every morning. It makes me feel like I'm doing something, but regardless, you're here for a very specific reason. Today, I'm going to show you why a lot of people can't become authentic, right? And it has to do with a lot of your insecurity. And so in today's video, we're going to take care of that. We're going to tell you how to kind of get over that hump, why it's impossible to do it if you're not secure and confident. What's great is we're gonna nail this all out in one bout, and then you're gonna be off to the races. But I know with you guys in the coffee talk, sometimes you guys be talking, hey man, I like to make the coffee with you. That's fine. As you know, we start off with a simmer boil, and then from there, you put in your scoops after you put them down, just like that. You wanna know something? I'm trying to get extremely caffeinated, because dudes, yesterday, I had to go downtown for a little bit, and so I just decided to spend time down there. I kid you not. I had about 4 Turkish doubles, and then I had a single. 9. I was so caffeinated, in my head I was like, this is drugs. Like, I actually understood, you know, when people are like, caffeine's a drug. If you did it the way I did yesterday, it was nuts. It was nuts. I felt absolutely phenomenal though. Like, it's been so long since I've been that level of caffeinated. Unreal. And it's just because obviously, you know, Ramadan was last month, and you know, you almost have a reset button on the caffeine itself. So we're coming back in a hurry. Coffee pot for 1, could be 2. Family size, you know, that could be what we're on, but I'm gonna finish up on this coffee. All that happens, by the way, for those of you that are new here, we do our coffee talks, we hang out, and we talk real game. Personally, they're my favorite videos, okay, I'll say it. But you put in your scoops, boiling water, and then what happens is it raises. So you put it over in the boil, you'll notice it's gonna boil, but the grounds want to raise up, and then that's it. But regardless, I'm gonna sit you outside right over there. You see that spot? You see that spot right there? That's where I'm gonna be seated. I'll see you outside here in a second, all right? Let's get to it. Yep, here we are, back at it again. Absolute beauty. Get that down, that down. Oh, Uncle Rami, you have your jeans on. Dude, what's going on? It's a good day. You know, it's a good day, and I feel like, well, I had my jeans on prior, but in my head, it's like, why would I take... You know, sometimes I gotta let the boys how I'm rocking out. I'm very simple in my clothing, as you can tell. Let me make sure that the sound is working. Uncle Rami, where's the fruit? Well, I am back on my fasting stuff. And that's just because my workouts fasted they're just superior, right? And that's also takes for me to be like, you wanna know something? I know what works best for me, and I double down on it. I don't care what the paper studies say. Oh yeah, dude, we're back. We're absolutely back. What I will say is I want to talk about authenticity, you know, a word that's been used so much nowadays, and it just feels like every word just gets hijacked, man. Because authenticity is a beautiful thing. Like, when someone's genuine, and that's the word I'd rather use, you can't be a genuine, authentic person if you're insecure. It is absolutely impossible. You want to know why? How can you possibly be you if you're not even confident and you're super insecure, constantly analyzing your own behaviors? It's actually something that I see so much. And it's so unbelievable, but the things that you dislike about people, think of the people in your head. I'm not saying we hate people, okay? But we all have people, it's like, you know, could definitely take them or leave them. You know, that's the kind of character I'm looking at. Those are the people I want you to bring up. I promise you the things that you dislike about them have direct implications due to their insecurities. 100%. And it literally never fails. You have no idea the level of insecurity that's there even amongst the biggest winners. And because it takes a bit of bravery, if I'm being honest with myself, to be super authentic. Think about it. If I am completely me and you dislike me, you're like, but why? Like, why don't you like me? Like, what is it that you don't like? And it's a normal thing because that's a scary thing to do. This is who I am, unapologetically, take it or leave it. It sounds sexy when you say it that way. But think about if you are truly yourself and someone does not like you, and you happen to be fond of that person. It doesn't feel good. But the problem is especially amongst insecurity, it's so contingent on other people's opinions. There will never be enough compliments to satisfy the innate emptiness that you have in your heart. That's the truth. And it's because people try to talk you off a ledge. And here's an example. I'll make it really stupid. People in the fitness community will tell me, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, X, Y, and Z. And it's because I purposely won't use fancy vocabulary. You know, like people love to use terms to make themselves feel better. You know, maximize motor unit recruitment. That is how you build the most amount of muscle. Sure. But how does that look? Does anyone want to hear a science lecture? And the thing is of course, I will go into detail on this stuff, for example, with people that I directly work with and I help out. But it does no good for most people to hear these things, because what it is it's just literally, when you see that stuff, in most cases, in 99% of cases, there's obviously always exceptions to the rule, but it doesn't disprove it. People that do that do it for themselves, and they want to be like, oh, I'm smart, I'm intelligent. That's not intelligence to me. Intelligence is, do you have everything that you want? Do you live the life that you want? And this is coming from somebody, by the way, fun fact, I was a pre-med finance major. Pre-med finance. Didn't make any sense because I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do with my life. I was always, always did really, really well at school. I think I graduated with like a 3.8 or above or something like that, right? And that was even during when I didn't really care about school. So it's not to say like, oh, I'm intelligent because I got a 3.8. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. At that point in my life, when I would have been considered intelligent, I didn't have anything that I wanted. I didn't live the life that I wanted. I was completely lost. Almost in a panic mode where it's like, I don't know what the hell I have. Like, what do you mean I have to pick something I'm going to do for the next 40 years? What the fuck? Like, that's not a real thing. Like, obviously I'm going to change. I always had that level of awareness where it's like, well, who I am at 30 versus who I am here at 18 years old or 20 years old, it's going to be a different person. The things that I want's going to change. The way I want to live my life's going to change. How are you going to expect me to do this? And so as a result, everyone then tries to put themselves into a box that's just not them. And then as a result, you're playing other people's games that is impossible to win at, because even if you won at other people's games, you will still feel completely empty afterwards. And then what do you have to show for it? And that's why people become bitter and insecure, and they lack authenticity. They don't know how to be themselves because their entire lives they've been basically whipped into shape by societal norms to become somebody else. Of course you're not going to be authentic. Of course it's tough for you to be genuine. Even when you go to work, you have to put on a face. You have to put on a mask. You have to put on this thing where it's like, all right, time to show off to the world. And it's funny, the mask that you're putting on is actually the real version of you, believe it or not. That's actually why when people say social media, is fake or whatever, I actually think it gives way more of a glimpse into the human mind than even human interaction. That's the truth. It's because you're putting out what you innately believe is the coolest thing. The problem is, though, what you think the coolest thing is has been predicated and morphed and influenced by people that they don't have your best interest in mind. And I think this is where I realize this for me, coming from somebody who gives a shit so much. When you wear your heart on your sleeve, you're gonna get hurt a lot. A ton, man. I mean, I can think back at times where people will take advantage of your kindness, they'll take advantage of your niceness, and they'll see it as weakness. And it sucks that the world is this way, but you have to take the rules of the game. This is what it is. Should it be not like that? I personally wish it wasn't like that. But what has wishing ever done for anybody? The difference is, and this is where most people go the other way on it, and I honestly was going the other way on it, where it's like, I don't give a fuck about anything, dude. I don't even care. I don't care about nothing, dude, because it doesn't even matter. And then people are like, oh yeah, like I got thick skin, dude, like you can say whatever. And that's just a cope. It's a virtue cope. You think, you're a better version of yourself because you don't care when people disrespect you or say something that you may not like. No. Difference is I know how to laugh at myself. I know what objectively is funny, but because I have taken my insecurities and essentially rooted them out, and the insecurities that I have are shortcomings that I identify. That's the difference. It's not what you have identified, it's what I have identified from my body, because I live in my body. I am living in first person, not from third. I have to do this every single day. So when you remove that insecurity from other people and you start becoming insecure because you know I'm coming up short on X, Y, and Z, and what I want for my life, I need to be better in these areas. I can absolutely laugh at myself because some things are just genuinely funny versus just trying to pretend none of it matters. Oh, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Who cares, bro? Why you care so much, bro? Try hard. Anyone that ever says try hard or you're glazing or any of this stuff, I always notice this. It's people that don't have anything else to say, and that is their cope that they hide behind. You can see it. It's funny, even for now, I think I was 16, I was always so into psychology. Dude, coffee, anything like it. Get the hell out of here, bro. We're gonna have a heavy caffeinated day back to back. I'm ready for it. But so when I was younger, I was always so into psychology. And it was because the human mind, you realize, is the most powerful thing that we have. It's so complex. There's so much to it. There's social norms, there's this, there's that. And that's why people conform to certain behaviors. And it's because they're looking for comfort, they're looking for that comfort. Like even where you lay your hands, like laying your hands like this is uncomfortable for people. So that's why sometimes they might cross their arms, or, how are they sitting when they feel good? Everyone has different quirks. It doesn't mean like a lot of people are like, oh, he crosses arms, X, Y, and Z. That's stupid. Everyone just has their own comfort spots, and a lot of that just has to do with like, we just kind of want to feel comfortable and we want to feel good enough. And once you understand that basically every human is like this, you stop judging yourself for it. You look at other people and it's okay to take inspiration from other people, but it should be adding to your plate, not removing. And so when I see people go through life in this insecure and shame, like it's like this feeling of shame constantly, that's not from them, it tends to make you make these decisions from a complete spot of weakness. And I hate to see it because you realize like everybody truthfully is unique in their own regard. We're all kind of the same, but everyone is a little bit different, obviously, in terms of how it just shows up. Like everyone looks a little bit different. That's why you can tell this person from this person. We're all humans. We have 2 legs, we have 2 hands, right? Beating heart, God willing. And somehow you can see 2 people and you identify that person's name is this and that person's name is that. And it works the same exact way if you walk it all the way down to even the core, the things that are a little bit more esoteric. But you realize the entire game is quite literally from here. And when you remove those shackles of other people's opinions of you, it tends to make such a drastic difference that most people actually are super uncomfortable with it. Because if you've been doing something one way your entire life and you start to do things a different way, it starts to change things up. And to me, it's so worth it because you don't know, it's hard to explain. Once you get out of it, you realize, how the hell did I live life like this prior? And I'll tell you, removing insecurity as a whole is not something I would recommend anyone. Like, I think there are things you should feel insecure about always. If you're constantly striving, you're always going to have shortcomings. It's not about removing that. You just need to make sure that the insecurity that you have is yours and it's nobody else's. It's not someone else telling you and shaming you, or like, hey, slow down. That's something I used to always get told, and it used to piss me off. Like, oh, dude, you're too much. You're too sporadic. This is when I was younger. You have too much energy, slow down. And like, it used to piss me off and it would hurt my feelings and like very, very intensely. I would have these moments where I could just be myself. I could be fully myself, and when I did, it made people uncomfortable. And obviously, annoying kids sometimes. Kids are annoying. But those things really piss me off. And like, those are things it's hard to explain. Like, even to this day, you're like, man, I'm like, you don't feel good when you think about it. It's because, think about it, you are being you. And then someone's like, hey, I don't like this version of you. And you're like, what do you mean you don't like this version? This is me. This is the most me I've been in a very, very long time. And you don't like this? And then you start going back. Seriously, it will take you into a level. You'll be like, well, maybe I need to be different in this way because people don't like it and I need everyone else's approval. And then you realize, like, well, there's a time and place to do these things. But keep in mind, that's coming from you, not someone else throwing that shit onto you. And that's why you can't be authentic, is because you're allowing other people's words to morph your mind. And we all take programming, don't get me wrong. When I say morph your mind, I mean shame you into these weird corner pockets where it's like, okay, I can't be that. You start self-filtering. And I'll tell you how I got started. I just basically refused to filter myself. If I wanted to say a cuss word, even in an area I wasn't supposed to, you know, or it wasn't necessarily the way you're supposed to, I would do it. And it was because I was so shackled up and my filters, it was so much I had nowhere to look. Like when you put up these self-filtering mechanisms, like you have no idea, like you're essentially chaining yourself, and then it's like, okay, well, I have ankle weights on and I have these handcuffs. I'm told I have to win this race. This feels fucking impossible. And so you almost just have to remove it all. Like, what are you thinking in your head? Like, well, it has to be perfect the way I remove this. Like, just get him the fuck off. You'll worry about that stuff after. Just get it off. And then from there, you need to come back to the table and tell yourself, you want to know something? I need to be better with this. I need to communicate this a little bit better. I need to articulate myself properly. I need to make sure that, you know, I smile when I look at people. I know how to level people with my words and just my general demeanor. You make people feel a certain way. And it's not because it's like, and that's where people chase these features, but all I'm after is just trying to become an undeniable version of myself that I know I'm capable of being. And so you grab all of these features on the way, but it really does start from just such a genuine place. The problem is everyone's voices are so loud you can't hear your own. That's what happens, especially in today's world. Everyone's just telling you stuff so much that you can't even hear your own voice in your own head. You can't hear it. It's just literally, it's just faded, and everyone else's voice is just and you have to just get rid of it. And to get rid of it, that just means you kind of just have to go through life a little bit unfiltered for a little bit of period of time just to get your footing back. You're so far in this direction that you have to move it all the way over. You have to. And then you can try to find the fine line, and it's not the middle. There's a huge difference between the fine line and the middle, because I like to live life in the extremes. I'm either on or I'm off. And the only way to do those things is by simply allowing yourself the luxury of just being like, you want to know something? This is who I am. I'm done hiding parts of myself in terms of like when I get excited, you know, oh, this doesn't look cool, it's a little bit nerdy. Screw all that, dude. Trust me, you'll come back to a spot if you actually genuinely care, and you're going to sharpen yourself up on the way. But you're trying to, you know, oh, how do I get this feature and this feature when you have freaking ankle weights and handcuffs on yourself? Brother, there is a time and place for that. That ain't right now. You need to remove that stuff, and then that way you can at least get out into a proper sprint, and then you can worry about how your mechanics look. That extrapolates down to this specifically. You can worry about how you're carrying yourself, how you dress, how you look, how you speak, how you articulate yourself. All of it. It'll come full circle. But I don't think anybody truly understands. To be an incredibly genuine human being takes an element of bravery where it's like people are going to hate me and people are going to love me. And people say that that sounds cool, but until you live that, you don't understand. I'm not even just saying this. You guys know me. I'm not like a, you know, I'm not super controversial. You know, I have controversial opinions, and there will be a time and place for it, but that's not how I care to build my page. But you'll be surprised. I get DMs of people saying some heinous things. Sometimes I laugh. I won't lie, because it's like, that's kind of funny. But it's because how I feel about myself is independent of anybody else. Most people would see that and they'd be like, well, then I shouldn't do this then. Like, how can I not be hated? And no, that's not how it works, you know? That's not how it works. And then once you become genuine, you'll be surprised. The opinions that you once cared about don't matter anymore. They don't matter anymore. And all you'll care about is doubling down on the people that are meant to be in your life. That's real kindness. That's why I think there's a difference between being nice and kind. I think nice comes from a place of insecurity. I think kind comes from a place of genuineness. And listen, this is the truth. Kind is saying things that you may not want to hear or that hurt to hear sometimes. Whether it's your friend group or your family, you have to tell them things sometimes that they don't want to hear. And that's because you're kind. It is the best thing in your head to tell them that's going to help them out the most. And then in addition, those people come first. That is being genuine. That is being authentic. versus you constantly, if there's someone that in your head you're like, hey, like, I'm going to give all of my good energy to these people that I barely see, but for the people that are in my life every single day, I'm going to give them the scraps. That's because of your insecurity, because you feel the need to be accepted by someone that doesn't really mean a damn thing to you in the grand scheme of things. But the people that are in your life, you give them the scraps? The fuck's wrong with you? I see this all the time with amongst people. And funny enough, it's like, it's usually the kind, like, the really like super nice people are like this. But it's because it's insecure. It's actually for yourself. You know, it's for those people. That's why they're doing it. You know, they're super nice because they need it for themselves to feel accepted. It's actually a selfishness. The unselfishness is like, dude, I don't got it in me today, but you want to know something? These people mean so damn much to me that I'm going to give them the best of me. And I just see it so often. I see it so often, man, where everyone is giving their best to people that don't mean a damn thing in the grand scheme of things. What is that? Sorry, I don't know why I got so angry. I don't know why I got so mad. And I shouldn't say that because I think, you know, I used to be like that when I was younger. You know, someone's cool in school and you want to be like, yeah, bro, I'm part of the cool kids club and stuff. But to be honest with you, I never really, I think I fell into that trap for like probably 7 days. And then I would purposely hang out with the kids that weren't as cool because I was considered cool. And there's that hero syndrome where it's like, what are you trying to pretend and stuff? It's like, no, you need to find the people that fill up your heart, that have earned their spot at the table. And it's not to say, are you good enough to hang out with me? It just has to pass your line of questioning because it's mutual. Relationships are two-way, whether it's with your woman, whether it's with a dude in terms of like, you know, God, that pause, that sounded really gay, to be honest. But you know what I mean? Like your boys and shit, you know? But it doesn't matter who it's with. You need to make sure that there is a cohesiveness to the relationship because the better you are around certain people, and we all have that, where there's certain people where it's like you ain't thinking about nothing before you say it. It's just flowing. You don't have to think about anything. And 5 hours feels like 30 minutes. Those are the people you give your best to. Not the person that you're trying to come up with conversation and why are you doing that? I even see that amongst with like, you know, like chicks a lot of times. Like, oh, some girl's hot, so I have to make sure I'm pulling out all the, what is that? What is that? Like, I get it. Of course, dude, we're dudes. You see a hot chick and you're like, damn, you know, sounds great. But like, if it ain't working for me, it ain't working. I don't care how hot she is. It does not matter. Why would I be in a conversation that doesn't mean a damn thing? There's enough people on earth. You scrap it. Done. Be willing to walk away. All of these things come from a place of being so authentic, and that just requires you feeling a certain way about yourself. Do you see how this all comes back full circle? I'm purposely going into these rabbit holes of talk to bring it back to the central thesis. In order for you to be authentic and be you in a way that you don't judge yourself for it and you just leverage it to your advantage, you have to remove insecurity. And the insecurity is from other people. Especially if you're watching this right now, all the insecurity you have realistically, and I'm going to say it, and I'll be obscene about it, 99.9% of people walking Earth have insecurities that are not theirs. Because then there's another stage to it. You remove those, but then you need to develop your own insecurities because you are clearly not where you want to be. Start beating to your own drum. Your energy becomes infectious because nobody is going through the world like this. Regardless of what you decide to do, what should I do with my life? And, you know, how should I? If you just develop this type of persona, and it's not a fake one, that's the beauty of it. The persona is you. You become the brand. Your reputation, just for some reason, you wear it on your skin. That's when people like, you know, a lot of people are like, Unc, dude, you're graying pretty heavy. And it's like, dude, I know, like, absolutely. I'm graying extremely heavy right now. But you see it, it's the last thing on my list in terms of worrying about. I know a lot of dudes dye their hair and shit. It's like, no, man, I wear it. I wear it all proudly. This is who the fuck I am. You know, God made me a certain way. Blemishes, all of it. The scars especially, the scars tell the story. And I just don't get, like, and I shouldn't say I don't get it because I used to live that way. I don't think people realize it's not as hard as you're making it out to be. It just takes, you know, this short-term discomfort that you kind of have to hang on to. And then believe me, on the other side, it's metamorphosis. Human beings adapt. That's how I lived. That's how I've been able to develop a physique that everyone's like, dude, there's no, bro, fake natty, bro, fake natty. I just allow the human being to do what it does best, which is adapt. I just needed to adapt the way I want it to adapt. That's why I'm not bringing up, you know, the Randall cycle. And well, technically, when it comes to the metabolism, so the way it works is you want your metabolic pathways to be much more efficient. I could talk this way. I don't purposely because it's stupid. Obviously, if someone's asking, of course, I'm going to go into those details. Like, hey, I'm just genuinely curious about the process. But to come up and be like, I'm an intellectual and this is what I do, and it's just bullshit. I have a visceral reaction to bullshit. And it's because I don't allow it for my life. And then what do you think the type of people I'm going to attract are going to be? People that genuinely are bullshitless. And those are the people I care to be around. And guess what? When I start hanging around with people that fill up my heart, what do you think happens to me? I just exponentially grow because you have no shackles on. You're just yourself, and the people that are in your life are meant to be in your life. And you give them your best. And as a result, they want to give you their best. And it's not even because it's like, oh, like, well, he's giving me his best, and that's how everyone's thinking. Everyone's just thinking like a fucking piece of paper. Like, okay, so he gave me 3 helpful tips. I want to make sure I reciprocate and give 4 helpful tips back. Who's living life this way? Do you think you're going to, in the end, be happy? The point is you're going to naturally reciprocate because that's who you are as a person. And if you're around people that don't reciprocate, you probably should remove yourself from that. Because clearly they're not the type of people that think the way you think. That's why I care, and I refuse to not care less and become someone that's like, oh, dude, I don't even care about nothing, bro. You gives a fuck, dude. You don't give a fuck. It's like, oh, thanks, dude. I'm good on that. But the reason why people are like that is because they've been slighted, and what happens is the thing that hurts you most, you tend to try to remove it versus leverage it. You just aimed it incorrectly. You just need to use it properly, you know? But point of this video, bring it all full circle. Give yourself permission to be yourself for a little bit. You know what I mean? Just give yourself that permission, and trust me, your body adapts quickly. And all those things that you look at with admiration, like, oh, dude, how does he just, like, he feels like he's just magnetic and he's charismatic, and that's just living from here, man, unapologetically. You let it pour out, and it's going to hurt you sometimes, but you just learn how to leverage it. Trust me, all those cool things that you're looking at, you'll notice it when you arrive at these things. And it's such a blessing because you bled for it. And most people in today's world, if they get over it, they won't ever let it go because they know they bled for it. We all have, you know, in some sort of way. Everyone's been slighted and shamed and given insecurities that actually aren't theirs. And it breaks my heart. But that's life, man. Especially as dudes, that's life. We put the team on our back, but that's why we are leaders. We lead the next generation, you know. We lead our generation and prior, and then as we get older, we'll do the same thing, and hopefully, you know, my kids and my grandkids do the same thing. And if people think this way, I think the world would be a much better place. But that's what Crusadia will aim to do in a very, very real way. And I am beyond excited to share, you know, what's going to entail. And it'll change the way people in the online space do everything. And you guys are watching it all in real time, especially if you've been here from the beginning. It's going to be really cool for you guys to see it all in real time. You're watching it happen. This is a documentation process. All I do is put up the camera in the process. Sometimes I don't feel like it, but I know in the end I'll be happy I did. Anyways, I appreciate watching this video, especially if you made it till the end. These coffee talks, man, what if this whole channel is just coffee talks? No, we gotta do the other things correct as well. But maybe would you guys want videos every single day? I know it sounds a little bit ambitious, but I've been doing one every 2 days, and this feels like clockwork. I feel like we can do this all the time. But anyways, I love you guys very much. If there's anything you guys want specifically, you know, maybe on this topic, or, you know, another coffee talk that's like, hey, I want it about this. You mentioned this, I'd like you to go deeper on this. I like when people do that, because then I can start extrapolating down. But if you guys don't want nothing, you guys don't want nothing. You guys don't love me, you don't love me, whatever. But anyways, I love you guys. From Uncle Rami, to the Natural Crusaders. I love you guys very much. Make sure you hit that like, comment, subscribe button. Hit that notification bell on that thing. On my YouTube shit. That's funny. Anyways, I love you guys. Uncle Rami out. Peace. I didn't even drink my coffee.